What does it take to lead a nation through its darkest hours, to lift it from the depths of despair to the heights of hope, from the grip of fear to the embrace of courage? I am Franklin D. Roosevelt, and in my time as president, I faced the kind of trials that tested the resilience not just of a man, but of a nation. It was during these times that the true essence of leadership was not just revealed, but forged in the fires of necessity. Now, let me take you through the lessons of leadership in times of crisis, lessons drawn from the very heart of my experiences. You will find that the wisdom gleaned from such times is not only profound but timeless, applicable to any leader who may find themselves at the helm during stormy weather. The anchor of resolve. In the throes of the Great Depression, I saw millions of Americans crippled by fear and uncertainty. It was not merely an economic crisis, it was a crisis of the human spirit. As a leader, my first responsibility was to restore confidence. I told the American people, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. This was more than rhetoric. It was a call to action, and it was the cornerstone of my resolve. When you are faced with a crisis, your resolve will be your anchor. It will steady you and those who follow you. But how do you foster such resolve? It begins with conviction, a deep-seated belief that the course you have set is the right one. Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound lessons from the legend. During the banking crisis, my resolve was to put forth the Emergency Banking Act. The decision to close the banks temporarily was met with apprehension, but it was necessary to stem the tide of panic. When the banks reopened, the public's trust had been restored, and the flow of capital began once more. This action was a testament to the power of decisive leadership. But it is not enough to have resolve. You must communicate it effectively. In my first 100 days, I worked tirelessly to pass legislation that would provide relief, reform, and recovery. Each step I took was with the assurance that it would lead us out of the darkness. Do you have the resolve to stand firm in your decisions? Are you prepared to take the necessary actions, even when they are difficult or unpopular? A leader in crisis cannot operate in isolation. They must mobilize the nation, turning every citizen into a participant in the recovery. The New Deal was not just a series of programs. It was a call to arms for every American to take part in rebuilding their country. To mobilize a nation, you must first understand it. I traveled the country, met with its people, and listened to their stories. This connection gave me insight into the needs and hopes of the citizens. It was only through understanding these that I could craft policies that would not only be effective, but would be embraced by the people. Consider the Civilian Conservation Corps, which provided jobs in service to the conservation of our natural resources. It was not merely employment. It was an invitation to be a part of something greater than oneself, to contribute to the nation's healing. In your own leadership, how will you mobilize those you lead? Will you inspire them to be active participants in the solution, or will they remain bystanders? In leading a nation through crisis, a leader must possess an unwavering compass of empathy. I knew that the policies I enacted had to address the suffering of the people. The Social Security Act was born from an understanding that the elderly, the poor, and the sick were among the most vulnerable. Empathy means more than understanding. It means feeling the plight of those you lead as if it were your own. It is this compassion that drives a leader not just to take action, but to take the right action. As you steer through crisis, does your compass point towards empathy? Do you see the faces behind the figures, the lives behind the laws? Finally, a leader must have a vision that serves as a beacon through the storm. The vision of the New Deal was not a detailed map, but a guiding star. It was a promise of a nation restored to its former glory and beyond. Your vision will be tested. It will be challenged by opposition, by circumstance, by the very weight of the crisis you face. But it must endure. It must remain clear in your mind and in the minds of those you lead. Ask yourself, what is your vision for the future? How will you communicate it? And how will you ensure it becomes a reality? The resilience of resolve, standing firm amidst the gale. As your guide through the tempest of crisis leadership, I recall the days when the very foundations of the United States were shaken by economic calamity. It was in those early days of my presidency that I understood the profound need for a leader's resolve to be as unwavering as bedrock. Let me impart to you the essence of this resilience of resolve. When I first addressed the nation as its president, the air was thick with despair. Banks were shuttering, savings were vanishing, and breadlines grew longer by the day. It would have been easy, perhaps even excusable, to succumb to the pervasive fear. But I knew that as a leader, my resolve had to be the beacon that would pierce through that fog of trepidation. It is common sense to take a method and try it, I once said. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something. These words were not just a motto. They were the embodiment of my approach to governance during those trying times. Action was the only answer to inaction, the only antidote to fear. The Emergency Banking Act, of which I spoke earlier, was a decisive move that required me to ask the American people for their trust. My resolve was not just in the action itself, but in my unwavering belief that the people would understand the necessity of such measures. As you navigate your own crises, consider the power of a steadfast resolve. How will you cultivate it? How will you ensure it does not falter when the winds of opposition blow strongest? And so, let us explore the first part of our journey more deeply, to understand how resolve is not merely the decision to act, but the enduring commitment to see that action through the storms you will undoubtedly face. Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound lessons from the legend, the Symphony of Solidarity, Orchestrating Collective Action. As I continue to reflect on the lessons of leadership in times of crisis, let us turn to the essential act of mobilizing a nation. In the darkest days, when the shadow of the Great Depression loomed over us, I knew that the recovery of our country depended not on the actions of a single individual, but on the collective will and effort of the American people. The New Deal wasn't merely a lifeline thrown from the White House to the drowning economy. It was a symphony of solidarity, each program a note in the greater harmony of recovery. I understood that to mobilize a nation, to truly stir the hearts and hands of millions, I needed to connect with them, to make them see themselves as integral players in the orchestra of revival. Take, for instance, the Works Progress Administration, which was more than just a job program. It was a mobilization of skills, creativity, and determination. By placing artists, builders, teachers, and laborers into positions where they could not only earn a living but also contribute to the cultural and infrastructural fabric of our nation, we were composing a movement of hope and progress. As you stand in the position to lead, think about how you will draw forth this symphony from your people. How will you ensure that each individual's contribution is valued, that their work is not merely a means to an end, but a part of something grander? We must now delve into the intricacies of this second lesson to understand the art of turning a collection of individuals into a unified force, each person an instrument contributing to the crescendo of recovery and growth. The Tapestry of Compassion, Weaving Empathy into Policy. In the annals of leadership, there is perhaps no quality more humanizing than empathy. It was this very understanding of the human condition that informed my approach to governance during the trials of the Great Depression and later the anxieties of war. To lead is to serve, and to serve is to care deeply for the welfare of those whom you are entrusted to guide. The Social Security Act, as I alluded to earlier, was not merely a legislative achievement. It was an embodiment of empathy in action. I envisioned a society where the elderly could enjoy their twilight years with dignity, where the specter of poverty would not haunt the vulnerable, and where misfortune would not be a prelude to destitution. Empathy, my friends, is the thread that must be woven into the very fabric of leadership. It is what transforms policy from being a mere directive to becoming a safeguard for the values we cherish. When a leader demonstrates empathy, they affirm the worth of each individual, acknowledging that behind every statistic is a story, a life deserving of respect and consideration. As you stand at the helm, ready to navigate through the turbulence of crisis, ask yourself, how will you integrate empathy into your decisions? Will you allow it to be the guiding principle that informs your actions and colors your judgment? In the unfolding of this third lesson, we must delve into the essence of empathetic leadership, to uncover how it not only shapes the course of policy, but also fortifies the bonds of trust between a leader and their people. As we continue our discourse on the pillars of leadership during times of hardship, let us cast our gaze forward to the importance of vision. Leadership without vision is like a ship without a rudder, aimlessly adrift at the mercy of the current. During my tenure in office, the New Deal was the rudder that guided our nation, not merely out of the storm of the Great Depression, but towards a future bright with possibility. This vision was not an idle dream, but a detailed blueprint for a modern America. The initiatives we introduced, Social Security, rural electrification, labor rights, were not ends in themselves, but the means to achieve a society where security, opportunity, and prosperity were within reach of every citizen. The foresight to see beyond the immediate calamities, to understand that the decisions of today shape the realities of tomorrow, is what separates a true leader from a mere office holder. It is the leader's charge to not only steer through the present crisis, but also to plot a course for the future. Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound lessons from the legend. As you contemplate the mantle of leadership, consider the legacy you wish to leave behind. How will you craft a vision that resonates with the hopes and aspirations of your people? How will your policies not only address the urgencies of now, but pave the way for a brighter, more stable future? In my years steering the nation through its darkest times, I learned that leadership is as much about forging unity as it is about making decisions. The fires of disagreement and debate are inevitable, but within that crucible, a leader must work tirelessly to shape a consensus that moves society forward. As I navigated the New Deal through Congress and faced the skepticism of the Supreme Court, I was constantly reminded that harmony is not a given, it is an achievement. It requires patience, negotiation, and sometimes the willingness to compromise without abandoning core principles. I often found myself in the position of mediator, bringing together disparate voices, labor and business leaders, farmers and industrialists, Democrats and Republicans. Each had their own vision for America, their own deeply held beliefs about the path forward. My role was to listen, to understand their concerns, and to find common ground. As you stand at the crossroads of confrontation and conciliation, think about the legacy you wish to create. How will you navigate the complexities of human opinion? How will you harness the collective wisdom of diverse perspectives to create policies that are robust and equitable? Throughout my tenure, I was acutely aware that the mantle of leadership is often heavy with the burden of tough choices. These are the decisions that come with great risk, the ones that will be scrutinized and debated long after they are made. Yet, it is in these moments that a leader's valor is truly tested. The journey of the New Deal was marked by such crossroads, and at each I stood firm, guided by the conviction that the welfare of the many outweigh the displeasure of the few. When I proposed the court packing plan, it was not out of a desire for power, but from a necessity to uphold the reforms that millions of Americans depended upon. It was a controversial decision, undoubtedly, and while it was met with fierce opposition, it also led to a shift in the judicial perspective that ultimately allowed the New Deal to continue. As you face the labyrinth of leadership, you too will encounter these junctures of judgment. Will you have the courage to make the decisions that are necessary, even when they are not popular? How will you balance the immediate fallout with the long-term benefits of your choices? In the throes of my presidency, as the nation grappled with unprecedented economic turmoil and the looming shadow of global conflict, I found that one of the most potent tools in a leader's arsenal is the ability to inspire hope. True leadership involves not just managing the present, but also lighting the path to a brighter future. During the fireside chats, my voice traveled across the airwaves, not merely to inform but to console, to uplift, to galvanize the American spirit. Each word was carefully chosen to transform fear into fortitude, uncertainty into resolve. We spoke of the challenges we faced, but more importantly, of the progress we had made and the successes that lay ahead. As you navigate through your own era's challenges, ponder the power of hope and how you might kindle it. In times of crisis, how will you speak to the hearts of your people, not just their minds? How will you paint a vision of the future that rallies them to persevere, to push forward against the tide? My presidency was not only defined by the policies we enacted or the speeches I delivered, it was also sculpted by an unwavering perseverance. In the face of adversity, whether it was political opposition, personal health struggles, or the specter of global war, the resolve to continue pushing forward was paramount. This unyielding determination was born from a deep-seated belief in our nation's capacity to overcome any obstacle. It was a conviction I endeavored to share with every American, to instill within them the understanding that though our path was strewn with hardships, our collective strength would see us through. As you carry the responsibilities of your own leadership, reflect on the strength required to endure. When you are beset on all sides by challenges, how will you fortify your resolve? How will you maintain the steadfastness necessary to lead not only in moments of calm, but also through the storms? Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound lessons from the legend. Throughout the tempests of my presidency, whether it was navigating the nation through the Great Depression or steering our course during the onset of global conflict, I remained acutely aware of the need for integrity. As a leader, the trust of those you serve is your most valuable asset, and it is built upon the foundation of your honesty and moral principles. Integrity was the compass by which I charted our nation's course. It demanded that every action, every policy, every decision be made not just with an eye towards its effectiveness, but its righteousness. When I pushed for the Banking Act of 1933, creating the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, it was with the understanding that the American people needed not only relief, but also a system they could trust, a financial sector with transparency and accountability. As you contemplate the mantle of leadership you bear, consider the role that integrity plays in your decision-making. How will you ensure that your actions align with your values? How will you preserve the trust of those you lead, even when faced with decisions that may be unpopular or come with great personal cost. In this extended exploration of our 9th lesson, we delve into the importance of integrity in leadership. It requires unwavering commitment to the truth, even when it is inconvenient. It demands that you remain consistent in your principles, even when the world around you seems to shift like sand. Integrity is the steady hand on the tiller, guiding the ship through both calm and choppy seas, ensuring that no matter the outcome, the course you've set is one that you can stand by with pride and conviction. Integrity in leadership manifests in various ways: transparent communication, accountability for one's actions, the courage to admit mistakes, and the fortitude to correct them. It is about being the same person in public that you are in private, the leader who does not waver in the face of adversity but remains true to their core values. This unwavering commitment to integrity not only engenders trust and respect from those you lead, but also sets a moral precedent for the actions of others within your organization or nation. It creates a culture where honesty is valued and ethical behavior is the norm, not the exception. In the grand tapestry of leadership, each thread of integrity weaves a stronger, more resilient fabric, one capable of withstanding the pressures and strains of governance. As you continue to lead, let integrity be your guide, and may your legacy be one that is remembered not just for what was achieved, but for how it was achieved, with honor, with honesty, and with a steadfast commitment to doing what is right. My time in the White House was a testament to the power of collective action. The sweeping reforms of the New Deal were not the triumph of a single individual, but the crescendo of a nation working in concert. From the Civilian Conservation Corps to the Works Progress Administration, we mobilized millions, each individual's effort harmonizing with another's to rebuild a country in ruins. This symphony of solidarity speaks to the essence of leadership, the capacity to unite a diverse group of individuals towards a common goal. It is about recognizing that each voice, whether it be a whisper or a roar, contributes to the strength of the whole. It's about conducting an ensemble of talents and perspectives in such a way that their combined force is greater than the sum of its parts. As you lead, think of yourself as a conductor. How will you bring together the varied instruments of your organization or nation? How will you ensure that each is tuned to its role, that each can play in harmony with the others? Leadership is about fostering an environment where collaboration thrives, where each member feels valued and understands how their contributions fit into the larger picture. In this extension of our 10th lesson, we explore the delicate art of building solidarity. It involves nurturing a sense of belonging and commitment among those you lead. It requires the ability to listen intently, communicate openly, and create a shared vision that resonates with all. Solidarity in leadership is about more than just getting people to work together. It's about creating a sense of unity and purpose that transcends individual interests. It's about building a culture where cooperation is the default, where the common good is the guiding star, and where every success is celebrated as a collective achievement. This approach to leadership is not without its challenges. It requires patience, empathy, and a genuine appreciation for diversity. It demands a willingness to compromise and an understanding that the most harmonious symphonies are those that allow for variation within a framework of coordination. As we continue on this path, remember that the strength of a leader is often measured by their ability to unite people, not just in moments of triumph, but also in times of trial. Let your leadership be the baton that guides the orchestra, drawing out the best in each member and creating a masterpiece that will be remembered for generations. In conclusion, the journey of leadership is multifaceted, each lesson building upon the last. It is a journey of vision and consensus, of valor and hope, of perseverance and integrity. And as we have discussed, it is also a journey of solidarity. May you embrace each of these aspects in your leadership, and may the legacy you leave be one of harmony and unity, a testament to the power of leading not as a lone force, but as the heart of a resolute and spirited collective. Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound lessons from the legend.